Thomas, welcome to the How to Be a Redhead show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
It's been a long time coming. We're so
I
excited.
know, I know. We want to go right into it. What was your relationship like with your own red hair growing up? We know that you grew up in the UK, so we'd love to hear how was it?
Well, growing up in the UK with red hair is back in 90s when I was growing up, especially, there were no positive ginger male role models. So there were very few people to aspire to be. And I think it it was seen as fair game for bullying and for you know, discrimination in its various forms. So it was tough. It wasn't something that you would want to have. It's actually almost something you wouldn't want to wish on your worst enemy. It's that. It's that.
Wow.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, like being a redhead in the UK, it's got better, I think, but it's definitely never been desirable. Let's put it that way.
And we were just talking before we talked to you about red hair fading, and I'm wondering, was your hair the same it is now, or has it changed from the time you were younger to now? Like, what has that evolution been like?
So interestingly, I give it every now and again a little zhuzh because it's
Yeah.
basically faded out. So like
Okay.
I sometimes like do like a copper like enhancing like conditioner thing just to kind of bring it back to life. I would never have thought that I would be
Enhancing it.
saying that, enhancing it, saying it out loud, telling people, being proud of that. It's purely because of the evolution of like
Yeah.
being involved in Red Hot, which I'm sure we'll come on to, but like though
Mm.
has made me feel better about being a redhead to the point where I want it back, because ultimately my hair
That's so
was
interesting,
yeah,
right?
Mhm.
this color. It was sort of like always like an auburn, not bright ginger, but noticeably ginger growing up. But and I always wished it darker. I was like, please, please, can I just wake up and it not be ginger? Please, can I just have
Mm.
brown hair or black hair, just anything other than ginger? And I literally feel like I willed it away. It kind of faded away.
Wow.
Yeah, and because it does for a lot of people, but my hair was never very bright ginger growing up, so it just sort of naturally got darker. And then I do this project Red Hot, and then everybody's like, "Oh, but you're not actually ginger." So I've kind of just my
So you've had
roots.
to like up it. Yeah. Adrian and I were just talking about this before because we started How to Be a Redhead in 2011. And I remember several years after starting it, I was in New York City and someone said, "You have a company for redheads, you have brown hair." And I was like, it was like a gasp. And I've just experienced my hair dulling a little bit and it's so common with redheads, so I can understand. And then I dyed my hair platinum blonde for 7 years of my life. So I remember to your point on having this realization like, wow, I'm trying to enhance my red hair. When I was younger, I like wanted to cover it up.
Yeah,
So now, do you feel like growing up in the UK is different than other parts of the world with being a redhead?
yeah. I mean, having gone around to lots of different places
Right.
with
Right.
red, I feel like the UK is quite unique in the fact that it has a really high proportion of redheads, really globally.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's sort of around the sort of
Yeah.
10% mark, which is like way higher than most places. And yet it's probably one of the least accepting of red hair. It's very strange. And it's sort of, there are other European countries that have a similar dislike for their ginger community,
Hmm.
Mm.
but perhaps less of a population, so it's sort of less of a thing. Whereas in the UK, it is, as I say, it's like a lot of people that do have red hair, and yet it's sort of like a really seen as traditionally seen as a kind of negative thing, especially for a boy. I think there are like what we've discovered is a lot of South American countries love gingers, like absolutely adore gingers. Brazil, Argentina, you know,
Mhm.
they just think redheads are gods, goddesses, boys and girls. They just think it looks beautiful. And then
Yeah.
to me taught me that this whole perception of beauty has been taught to us. It's not something
Mm.
that is inherently true. It's just what we
So true.
think as beautiful is something that we have learnt and have been.
So true. Yeah.
So, in the UK, we're being fed this narrative that being a ginger boy is ugly and desirable, undesirable, and emasculating and desexualized. And I was like, okay, well, actually, maybe doesn't have to be the truth. Maybe that doesn't have to be the reality. Let's try and work on that. And that's where Red Hot came.
Yeah. Do you think Ed Sheeran and Prince Harry have changed?
We have to ask. I can't believe you just asked him. I was like, should we
I mean,
should we wait?
in my like redhead mind, right? Especially being an American, you hear UK ginger boy automatically
No, and
goes
everyone
to
loved Prince Harry.
Prince
Like,
Harry,
remember,
and
like a
everyone loves
decade
Ed
ago? I mean,
Sheeran. Ed Sheeran's like he just did a video recently, and all these people on TikTok were like, "Wait, I went from Ed Sheeran's kind of sexy," everyone was saying, and I was like, "So how do you feel being from the UK?" And
Totally. Like, and the funny thing is, the whole Ginger, his story, he talks openly and candidly about being this complete underdog, especially because he was ginger, and
yeah,
the UK grime scene, which is a really like, credible underground, cool scene. And he was this ginger boy. And that's what he said made him stand out. That's what made people remember him as this like
cool, yeah,
good, talented ginger boy. And they remembered that, So there you have again another reason why, having red hair ends up being your like superpower and your calling card because people remember you for it.
yeah,
But
yeah,
but I think, yeah, Prince Harry is a really interesting character because when we started doing Red Hot, which was back in 2000, and just after when you guys
oh
launched,
my
yeah,
gosh,
yeah.
yeah.
like in the zeitgeist, when Prince Harry was in the newspapers for getting into trouble,
I remember that. Yep, yep.
naughty prince. And the funny thing about it is that people were beginning to think of him as the sexy prince. And because he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
naughty and he was doing
He
naughty
was
things.
going out. They were showing, yeah, right, right. Kind of being a little rebel compared to his
Well,
brother.
it was rebellious and it
Yeah.
was naughty and he was ginger and he was good looking. It was this whole thing shifted in people's minds and people were like, hang on, I kind of like think Prince Harry is the sexy one, and because it was originally, everyone fancied Prince William. And as
Yeah.
Harry was sort of becoming this sort of sex symbol for being naughty and rebellious. And actually that really fueled some of the
Hmm.
ideas around how I wanted to present Red Hot as this rebellious, naughty.
Wow.
So that kind of goes into telling our listeners what
All
Red
about
Hot
Red Hot.
yeah, who may
Yeah.
not know.
So yeah, basically there was this article in a Sunday Times style, right, that said, "What's our new obsession with hot ginger men?" And it had Prince Harry, it had Damian Lewis, it had a couple of other people.
Damian Lewis, yes. Homeland was like really popular around
Yeah,
that
yeah.
time. Yeah.
That was one of the number one shows and he was the main actor on it, and it was kind of unprecedented that there was this leading man with bright orange hair who was seen as sexy, and it, you
Mhm.
you just don't get that full stop in Hollywood. So that was really rare. And then Prince Harry as well, as we've talked about. And I was like, I've always had this idea to do something for creating positive role models for ginger men. And I was like, okay, this is happening now. If I don't do it, someone else is going to do this idea. I didn't know what the idea was, but I was like, I've got to just do this thing about ginger guys. And then
Yeah.
because that article really was like, oh, this is happening now. So if I don't do it, someone else is going to do it. I'm going to miss the boat. So I just phoned all the model agencies that I knew in London, and I said, hey, do you have any ginger guys on your books? I'd love to I want to do some portraits. And to my surprise, most of them didn't have a single ginger guy. And that was really surprising.
Wow.
It sort of turns out that, ginger guys weren't desirable from a advertising or a
Yeah.
brand perspective at that point.
Okay.
And then I found one agency that had several, and they helped kickstart the whole project because I did this first shoot and I tried all these different backgrounds to see what looked good, and tried it with clothes and things. And as soon as I took the guy's t-shirt off, and it was a portrait exhibition, it turned into, it was just the boy, and no clothing and a blue background. It turned out that this bright color blue really made the hair pop. And as soon as you took off, it was just all about the boy and his hair, and the hair became the star. Suddenly it wasn't like a fashion shoot, it was this sort of really stripped back portrait shoot with the hair being the star. And immediately it sort of went viral. Like my friend posted it on his blog, and I had 5 pictures at the beginning and a little video of these guys, like
Yeah.
moving their head around, and immediately went viral. And Conan O'Brien cut himself into this little trailer that I'd made and put it on his TV show in
I
America.
didn't know that.
No
Really?
way.
I didn't even. No one asked me like permission or anything. He was just on the front of his main show. He suddenly,
Wow.
there's this new thing happening in London, and all about redheads being sexy. Check it out. And then it had my video of all the boys doing their like moving their heads around, and then suddenly Conan O'Brien comes in and he's like eating a baguette and being all silly.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
It was so funny, but it was also like up until then I'd never experienced anything going out of my control in terms of, and it was
Okay.
because it was like, this is really happening. And people said to me, did you know it was going to be as successful as it was? And at that moment I was like, wow, I know this is going to be really successful, because it was just, it was this new idea.
Yeah.
And I knew that it was a new idea because I did loads of research to see if, has anyone ever done an exhibition about ginger guys before? Is there's ever
Mhm.
any conversation about ginger guys before? And there just wasn't. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is potentially a brand new idea. And as a creator,
Yeah.
you don't get many brand new ideas, because most ideas are a joining together of two ideas, or a reimagining, or
Right, right.
ideas have been done, So this was like, oh gosh, this is a new idea. This is the potential to actually really make some waves. And when he did that, it really catapulted it in America to the next level. And I just cracked on, and I shot 100 guys, brought out a book, and launched it in New York within like 6 months. And
Wow.
Wow, congrats.
Wow.
yeah, it was
And for our listeners, though, you do have before this, you had a background in music producing, film directing, and photography, right? So you were kind of set up to do this. People who are just learning, they're like, wait, you just started shooting. So you had a strong creative background.
yeah, I had, I think 15 years of being a photographer. And then I've
Yeah. So
done
this is perfect.
And I was just like, when I saw that article in the Sunday Times Style, I was like, I'm the guy to do this. I can do that. I know that I need to do this project
It
because,
was almost like a calling for you to look at the newspaper.
and also from my perspective, I had recently kind of come out as ginger, because I had dyed my hair blonde for like 10 years
Oh
after
my
Wow.
gosh.
I hated being ginger. I just didn't want to see that ever again. So internally, this was a personal story of
It was healing.
Totally.
Yeah.
to like, try and create ginger role models, not only for the world, but for myself, so that
Yeah.
I feel better about being a ginger guy. And I looked around for those role models, and I didn't see any of them apart from Prince Harry and Damian Lewis. So it was this moment when I was like, okay, well, let's do this idea. This idea has the potential to, it sounds a bit cringy, but it has the potential to sort of change the way people see ginger guys, change the perspective on ginger guys in the world. Let's
Yeah.
go. And
Yeah.
it kind of, the door was cracking open. And then I think with this project, we just really like bashed the door down, and we got press coming at us from all over the world
Wow.
relentlessly for about 3 years. And we're talking like all the newspapers, all the
That's
blogs.
amazing. Incredible.
It was on the cover, we got on the cover of Sunday Times Style,
Wow.
December 2013, and then it was on the cover of the Australian Telegraph magazine, which is their big
Mhm.
newspaper magazine. It was on the cover of so many magazines and things, and I think it's because people, there was so many elements that so many boxes that were ticked in this sort of advertising like story. There was the underdog story, the
Yeah.
of something that we've all known before, and we're seeing it in an unexpected and new and original way. There, we also were raising money for charity along the way, and so we had this whole anti-bullying current,
Okay.
and it was sexy.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
People wanted to see the photos.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was very eye catching. I
Yeah.
purposely made it very, bright blue background. As soon as you saw a picture online of a ginger guy on a bright blue background, you knew it was this red hot project. So it
Yes.
Yes.
branded, and it was very clear. And it was very easy for people to put type over it. You could put one of those pictures on a magazine and put type around it, and it looked like it looked really good. So yeah, it sort of had this explosive beginning, and then I went around the world doing exhibitions for about 4 years, and went to so many different countries. Did an exhibition in New York and Sydney and Berlin and all over the Netherlands, and
Wow.
UK 3 times. Actually, that all happened within 2014 and half of 2015. So it was this crazy period of time when we were doing these launch events every month. There was a new launch event, and I was just running by the seat of my pants from a business perspective. It wasn't a business at that point; it was just me doing an exhibition. So
Okay.
I had no financial backing. It was all self-perpetuated, and I was just like, this is happening now. If I haven't got time to pitch for investment or to get anyone to
Yeah, you just got to
this.
do it before
Just got to do
someone like
this
takes.
viral moment finishes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think it was such a sweet spot too, because social was becoming, I think like Instagram was, obviously there was no TikTok, but Instagram was really popular, like
Yeah.
around and coming.
Yeah, it just started. Like we had a Facebook account, and
Hmm.
then when it started popping off in 2014, there was this new thing called Instagram, and we were like,
Yeah.
should we
Which
get
is
on
great
it?
for photos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just Instagram is our place now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your process like with choosing, like casting process for your projects?
So at the beginning, I used to walk around and see people, run up to them and say, "Hey, I've got this project."
Love
It
it.
was
I
very
love that.
bootstraps, and I
Yeah.
found some amazing people that way. And through recommendations of friends, and it was very much like low key. Now it's more like we put out that we're doing a model search on our socials, and then
Okay.
people message us and DM us, and we now have like a dedicated, become a model section on our website and things like that.
Wow. My husband's a redhead. I should have him apply. He would be
Well,
so honored.
yeah,
But
that would be amazing.
Yeah, that would.
But I have a funny story to share with you. Well, I think it's so funny. So my best friend Andrew and I grew up in Rhode Island, right, in a small town, and now he is living and happily married to Ken, his husband. They've been married now for like 6 or 7 years. But before they lived together, his husband Ken is from the UK, and obviously we're Americans, right?
And he's a redhead.
And Ken's a redhead.
Ken's a redhead. Yeah.
Ken's a redhead. And
Andrew's not. Andrew's not a redhead. Yeah.
So Andrew said, "Oh, I'd love for you to meet Ken." So we're in the city and like we meet at this bar and I meet Ken and he's just very confident, like very, just awesome. I still just love him so much. And the first thing he said to me was in his accent, "Do you know about Red Hot?" And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Hold on one second. Let me speak American. Red Hot." And I was like, "Yes, yes, yes." So we talked all about your work.
No
And that
way.
was kind of like our intro into bonding in a way, because you could just tell. I mean, I'm not putting words in his mouth, but it influenced him to be confident in who he was, your work.
That is so beautiful and amazing, and I hear it often, and we see it with some of the boys who we
I'm
put in
sure.
projects, and then they've ended up keeping the photo
Yes.
that we've created for them as their profile picture for years.
Oh, yeah.
Really means a lot. Some people even put on their Instagram, red hot model and stuff, and it's because I think there hasn't been a place for ginger guys to go to feel
Yeah.
appreciated and celebrated.
Yeah.
We really wanted to create a bit of a community online. Nowadays you can find all of these niche communities online of basically, I think, any type of
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
But, back in 2013, 2014, this was all new. People were finding these communities for the first time and going, oh my God, there's, and it sort of, you have this awakening, and you can realize that your unique thing about you that maybe you once were ashamed of can become the thing that you're most
Proud of.
and
Yes.
Yeah.
celebrate.
I totally agree. And I think Ken felt that way. And so anyway, they end up falling in love, right? They get married. And then I would say, I don't know when we decided to do this interview, but it's been a few months that we've had this on the calendar with you. But in the beginning of the year, Ken writes me and he's like, "You need to interview Thomas on the podcast." And I was like, Yeah, so, he's just been a fan for a long time, and I
Oh,
was like,
that's
"Oh,
so
we
nice.
definitely do." So he's like, "I just Instagrammed him." I just DM'd him to tell him of that he should be on your podcast, and I was like, "Oh, thanks, Ken," but I just feel like
So
I
awesome.
have seen
Shout out
even
to
my husband, yeah.
Shout out to
Shout out to
Ken.
Ken. Shout out to Ken for making this all happen, but I just feel like for redhead women have usually such a different experience from redhead men. And I talk about it
Yeah.
with my husband all the time. Like my husband was so badly bullied growing up. Like some of the stories just really hurt for me to even hear them. And I know we also like grew up here, but the bullying for men is sometimes way worse. And I do think that your work has contributed to people all over the world feeling so good about themselves. Like I think in the back of their head, they're like, well, whatever. Like, look at how
Like,
redhead men
I'm
are
red
being
hot.
celebrated.
yeah.
Yeah, like I'm
Yeah.
red hot. Yeah, it is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I that does mean a lot to hear that, and because that was always our intention, was to offer this sort of alternative mindset. Because when I was growing up, we'd call it take the piss. People would take the piss out of my hair, and I would just take it and be like, yeah, I hate it too. There was no pride
Really?
in being ginger.
Okay, yeah.
There was no
Like, I love my red hair. Yeah.
There was none of that because I agreed
Wow.
with them. I hated it. And so, I think now, and we would have in the first exhibitions, mums often and dads, often mums that would bring their kid into the exhibition. And it was like the most heartbreaking, it's
Yeah.
amazing where
I'm
Yeah.
sure.
a ginger boy who's like 14, 15, getting bullied at school, or younger, and they would bring them to the exhibition to show them like show them an alternative vision for themselves of the way they see themselves. Because I sort of saw myself in this diminished state as a ginger guy, but now if I could go back with the confidence I have now,
Same.
I
I'm
would
the
be just
same
like,
way. Oh
I
my gosh.
I'd, I'd,
Yeah.
I'd be able to just let it fall off me and be like, I found my tribe. I have a group of people that I am so excited to be a part of. This doesn't bother me, and I love it. So wow, it's
Yeah.
that sort
Yeah.
of attitude that you just don't have when you're growing up. You feel alone, different, isolated, and you
Yeah.
feel the negativity towards yourself. Oh, that's the worst.
I know. I know. And I do have to ask, have you or are you or will you date a redhead?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I would never have
I
done
mean,
it.
you're around all these hot men. I was like, I have to ask.
It's actually sort of like more likely to happen because my life is surrounded by hot ginger guys. So like
I know.
I'm, more likely to meet a ginger guy than a non-ginger guy in my life
Yeah.
right now. But yeah, I would never have ever thought that would, it's weird because this internalized ginger phobia against myself
Right.
perpetuated into like I didn't necessarily want to say went to a party. I wouldn't want to hang out with the ginger guy because I wouldn't want two ginger people to be together or whatever. There
Yeah.
was there's no way that I'd be dating a ginger person ever. But now like that I see the beauty in it,
Yes.
and I've relearned and repurposed all of those feelings that don't exist anymore, those negative feelings, and therefore I look at a ginger people, but ginger guys, and I just see a
Beauty. Yeah. And being comfortable in your own skins.
totally.
I think that plays into it, and not caring, like back when you were younger, how you said you never wanted to be next to someone who was a ginger. And then to think about to be with someone as a ginger, you're like, okay, I don't give.
Yeah, because that like visceral reaction of feeling like getting the ick. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That feeling is all internalized shame.
Yeah.
So it's sort of,
Yeah.
once you can kind of work through that ginger shame, which is a thing,
Yeah.
then obviously that being with a redhead doesn't bother you, or it's not even necessarily a consideration.
Totally.
It's not like I would necessarily like go out to seek out a ginger person, but like if you meet the right person and they're ginger, like before it would have been, oh no, we can't. I'm
Mm.
away from this scenario. Now it wouldn't even be a consideration. I think that's what you kind of want to aim for.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I do want to talk about how Red Hot has bloomed and branded and grown since we were talking in I know you launched in 2013, but a lot has happened since. So how have you seen, like, what do you see for the future of it? And what do you see for, because I know we want to talk to you about Club Red Hot and
And your
also your new
calendar.
calendar. There's a lot going on now. And obviously, you've moved with all the trends, all the social trends. So, what's the future like and what has it been like?
Well, so we just launched Club Red Hot in London last month, and it really became this big, ginormous, amazing thing. The dream scenario. We partnered with a really big queer club promoter in the UK called Little Gay Brother. And that combination was perfect because, Red Hot, we have this IP and we have this connection to this ginger network,
Mm-hmm.
ginger male network predominantly, but ginger network uh, uh, generally as well. And with Little Gay Brother, they throw parties. They throw the best parties in the UK.
Cool.
They do events, they do festivals. Together, we were able to put on this incredible night and reimagine our over 10 years of visual IP into
Yeah.
displayed on giant screens. And
So the photos are being displayed.
yeah, the photos, the video,
Whoa.
but they're sort of like mashed up in a way that works in the club environment. So,
Okay.
you're getting this you're basically stepping into our Red Hot universe when you go to Club Red Hot, and you're
I
probably
need to go to this.
I
Like, I
know,
need to go to, like,
same.
there. I
you're,
know that
you're gonna,
I need
Same.
to this.
it is predominantly I guess a gay male night, but it's queer.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love
Love.
it.
And you're gonna run into probably it's gonna be it will be 100% the place that has the most ginger guys.
In one place.
If you want
Yeah.
ginger people, Club Red Hot is the place to go. But also, outside of that, what we're doing is bringing the term red hot back to its original colloquialism, which I sort of obviously
Okay.
stole and hijacked and turned into this like ginger, sexy ginger boy thing. But actually, to be red hot and to feel red hot is to feel your best. It's to feel sexy,
Confident.
feel confident. We're sort of like, we're taking our brand Red Hot and using our ginger boys and our IP to create this whole unique universe for people to enter into. But it's all about feeling sexy, feeling your best. And that applies to anyone. So anyone can come to Club Red Hot, regardless of your hair color. It's a place where you can feel celebrated for that unique thing about yourself,
Yeah.
It's
'Cause
incredible.
everyone is unique. It is incredible. So when's your next one?
So our next one we're putting together right now, and it's probably going to be in LA at the
Okay.
year when we launch our calendars in November. So we're sort of putting
Wow.
that together now, and based on the success of the London one, we can really confidently put together a really big event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're looking to do a really spectacular moment in LA, and then we're going to return back to London early next year. We want to do something for Pride next year, something special.
Okay.
The
Yep.
idea is now to roll Club Red Hot as a club brand concept out to various places around the world. So coming to you next.
Well,
I
you know what? I'm not
love
even going to
that.
bring my husband. I'm just going to bring Ken. I'm just Ken and I are going to show up.
How about Andrew and I? Can we all be like, no, that sounds awesome. And then the calendar. So is that a yearly thing that you've had since you've launched in 2030?
Yeah, which is actually crazy when you say it like that, because
I know.
it's 12 years of calendars.
Wow.
Years we have done in the past, the maximum we had done is 3 calendars in 1 year, because within the ginger thing there is niches, so we would create these different niches of calendars, and at one point we did 3 calendars a year. But no, we've got this our new calendar for 2026 called Red Hot Road Trip, which is
I love that.
it's a whole kind of Thelma and Louise story of these 2 guys that steal a car and go, this rebellious idea, going on that road trip story and meeting crazy characters along the way. And they causing chaos. And it's a very kind of Americana landscapes. And we shot it here in Temecula.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. I've been.
Yeah, and we shot it in the deserts north of LA. So it's
Wow.
yeah, and we to get that amazing
That's
sort of like the classic. You think of a road trip in Thelma and Louise, you think of an open desert,
just desert. Yes.
and I was like, we need this like open desert with a road and a drone shot, So
Wow.
we had to try and find that.
Wow.
And originally we were going to shoot everything in Temecula, and then when we were driving down there isn't actually that down there. So
Okay.
to find that, you have to go north of LA. So we ended up at the last minute changing the whole production schedule and suddenly going like north of LA in the morning, early doors, getting this shot and then driving. It's a whole thing. There's so much work.
Wow.
My
I wanted
There's
to
so
create
much.
a film, and so we made this whole film, incredible team, and it's about to tell this story of these two boys. And again, like these guys, these aren't actors. These are two guys who are models.
okay.
Luckily this time they are actual models. Sometimes our boys have never got any experience of modeling as well, and they were amazing. They totally smashed it. These two guys, I basically had to try and get them to act quite a lot, because they were holding up a diner, Pulp Fiction style. They're like hot wiring a car. There's a whole gangster thing where they put the waiter in the back of the car and he's in the trunk, and then they end up at this
My God. So
they
it
end
is like a little movie,
yeah,
but
it's
it's
just moving, yeah.
photographed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they end up at this like this in Temecula that is run by this trans model called Love Bailey, who is incredible. And
Wow.
they enter this bull rodeo to win $100,000, and
My God.
that's the kind of like premise of this whole story, and it sets them up to then go on into the from this moment into the wilderness to be continued. What do they get up to next? But along the way they meet a hitchhiker, and there's this whole bull rodeo moment where all the guys are riding this bull, and it's a great little story, a great little
That's
cake.
amazing. So you picked
That sounds
12
awesome.
images for the calendar?
Yes, so
Okay.
we're actually in the process of now selecting those shots. So,
That's
you know,
hard. That's hard to
yeah.
do.
Well, the thing is, like, we heavily plan each thing and kind of create a character for each of the guys. So down at the Savage Ranch where we shot the majority of the photographs, we kind of had all of our ginger boys were like these different. It was very cowboy themed because it was this rodeo and this ranch where the two boys end up, and we did several different shoots for each of the boys in different scenarios. But because we had for the first time in a long time, actually, we shot all of the pictures basically in a day and a half. So we had to get 12
Wow.
great shots in a short amount of time. So we had to be super planned, super organized. And we would have right, this person is going to be this character and we're going to shoot it here. And we'd sort of had it all pre-planned. So, it just rolled
Wow.
out. And sometimes we have literally half an hour to shoot a shot.
Wow.
My
Wow, I do
gosh,
have
such a
to
short
ask,
amount of time.
are the models always, do they always have to be natural redheads, or can they be dyed?
Good question.
Yes. Well, originally, it was no, 100% have to be natural. And then a couple of people got to slip through the net. We didn't realize that.
Yeah, some people are good, right? Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, okay, well, nobody cared about them. So if somebody's living as a redhead, and they're very rare for a guy to dye their hair red.
Yes.
And I'm like, if that's their truth, then they can be in red. They're living as a redhead, they can be in red hot. So I guess
love
it's
that.
kind of time amount, because if you scroll down someone's Instagram and it was just a one-off dye job, I don't think that's going to cut it for us. But if they are literally, that is their identity on their social media, then of course, yeah, they're
Yeah. And I love what you said. I guess I never thought of how rare it is for a guy to go
dye his hair.
to dye their hair red, because
Well, it's back to beauty standards about what you were
Mm-hmm.
saying, Thomas. It's all about how that's not in the beauty standard for men to dye their hair red.
Totally. There was never, it was, being a ginger man was seen as emasculating, desexualizing the culture. You wouldn't actively choose to be a redhead male because it sort of diminishes your sex appeal. Why would you do that? Whereas now the conversation shifted so much that actually to be a redhead man is unique, it's different, there's an allure about it in the same way that redhead females have always played into, and you get so many famous redhead females in Hollywood who are not actually naturally redhead.
I know.
But it's
like
become
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone, becomes their complete identity.
Totally.
Assume that it's natural because people don't, they take things at face value. That we have got a few. We have this one model who has dyed his hair red, really beautiful copper color, and he calls it his boob job. He's basically,
That is awesome.
That
He's
is awesome.
He's like, "It has completely changed my life. People
That is
notice
amazing.
me in a different way. I am now this like got this enhanced like aesthetic that I have been able to choose for myself, and it's empowering, and it's now who I identify as, and it's his thing." It's just crazy. I would
Wow.
Wow.
never ever have thought that that would ever be the reality. Like fast forwarding, 12 years from starting Red Hot, that would have
Mhm, mhm.
actively dyeing their hair red to create this character for themselves that is desirable and sexy
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
aspirational. Like that's crazy. It was amazing.
Yeah,
It
now red hair, like, trends all the time, right? Like, I think cowboy copper was popular last year, but
everyone wants to be a
same
redhead.
thing with freckles. It's like freckles are coming in hot these days, so, yeah, everyone does wanna be a redhead, Adrian.
Yeah.
But at our last event in March, we had this little boy who came up, and I was just thinking about you, Thomas, and like how you must have been as a young boy, right? And he came up and he was like, Steph, what is he, 7? Do you remember the little boy? He was like
7,
7.
8 years old, yeah.
Yeah, and the event was for men and women, and it was
For
outdoors. We
all
did a
redheads,
pop-up,
yeah.
yeah, in Dallas, and, the little boy came up and he said, "I hate my red hair, I hate it," and his mom was there like, "No, you have to love it, that's why I took him here," you know? And I don't know, I was wondering what advice you would give to the young boys, in the UK, in America, like, anywhere, I know Australia sometimes has bullying too, but I don't know, what would you say?
Australia has got a lot of
Yeah,
bullying for
redheads.
Louise Rangers, as they call them.
Yeah.
It's a really tough one because you can't, unfortunately for the mother or the father just want their kid to see it, but ultimately
Yeah.
it's like anything, you can't actually tell somebody. They have to come to that conclusion themselves. So, the only way I think for young kids to feel better about being a redhead images speak 1,000 words, and I do think like seeing positive role models that they can
Yeah.
relate to has a deeper impact than anything. And I've always thought that if there was like a ginger James Bond, that
Mm.
the next person
Yeah.
to play James Bond was like Damian Lewis, or or Don Hall Gleason, or some a hot Hollywood actor who's got ginger hair, that would actually probably have more impact on young
Yeah. Yeah.
ginger boys than anything that I or you could ever do, because seeing those people in those roles seen as aspirational, as the hero,
Yeah, such a good point.
really that really impacts the way that you see yourself. So, you know, that that kid probably just hasn't had that awakening visually into what they can be and how that red hair can be for them. Maybe the mother, and this happened to me, like the mother tries to help by showing images of redhead women because that's the role models
I
that she
was
find.
Yeah.
That
Like,
is so true. Is that what your mom did?
well, yeah, like ultimately that doesn't work, because you're not looking at the redhead woman and thinking, oh yeah, that can be me necessarily. Whereas little girls do.
Yeah.
I think little girls have maybe more armor in this because they can look to Hollywood and go, yeah, but you know what? I think look at her being put on a pedestal and being seen as this ultimate woman. That could be me. And it's sort of like, even if she's getting bullied, there is this undercurrent of, just you wait, I can be that. Whereas I think, there just aren't that many positive male role models even today.
I
It's
agree with you.
definitely getting better though. Definitely getting
It
better.
Definitely getting, and
definitely
I think too,
definitely.
it's also uh, I think about, so I have a 4-year-old son, and I remember this about a few months ago. He was in the car and we were talking about his day and from school. And I was just asking him questions, and he goes, this kid in his class who he was playing with, I was like, I don't know, we were talking about what they were doing. And then he goes, he has red hair. And he said it like that. And I go, well, isn't that awesome? Like, mommy. And he goes, yeah. So I think I bring that up because I think it's also teaching your children who don't have red hair to accept
Yeah.
difference and
Yeah.
to accept uniqueness. And thankfully there's so many books out there now for kids, but it just made me think of that moment in the car, because then I want him now. I was hoping that one moment, that now when he looks at this kid in class, not even to look at his hair color. Like everyone has different hair colors, but also to appreciate it and to, yeah, to know that it's awesome.
Yeah, well, that's great because, it could have been a micro change in the UK. The parent might have even said something derogatory about the kid.
Then the kid kind of
Yeah.
think that that's normal. Right, right, right. And yeah,
And that's
exactly.
what happens, or, has happened traditionally for a long time in the UK, is that, even on TV shows, panel shows, even now, I saw something recently and I was like, God, if you changed the way they're talking about this ginger person for race, it wouldn't be allowed to be aired. This is so, and everyone's laughing because it's seen as like fair game. It's seen as
Yeah.
banter, as we call it, which is like where you take the piss out of people and it's for fun. It's not
Mhm.
meant to be bullying. But the underpinning story and the underpinning sort of messaging that you get as a ginger person is that you are comedic.
Mm. Mhm.
It's fair game, it's fodder. So, even just for your reaction to say that to your kid will help to install a different viewpoint, that it's to look at the red hair as this awesome difference. And the
Yeah,
thing about red hair is that it's on your head. You cannot escape it. That's why I dyed my hair as soon as I could from after school.
same. Yeah, I wanted to be blonde. Yeah,
I just wanted to
yeah.
get rid of this ginger hair, right? And
Mhm.
but when you're a ginger kid, you can't escape it because you're not really. Well, I actually dyed my hair at school and I got into so much trouble. You actually have to live with this thing that's on your head. You cannot.
Yeah.
So it's like fight or flight. You can't
Mhm.
taking the piss out of you for being a ginger kid. You've got to somehow muster the confidence to have a comeback, to feel to defend yourself. It's there. You can't, like, if it's your sexuality, you can try and like play it straight and not come out if
Hmm.
you're struggling
But
with
your
it.
hair, you're saying 'cause it's right there.
Right
You
there,
can
like there's
yeah.
hiding it. So that's what I think we've found with a lot of the boys that we've shot. I've got these really funny personalities, and it's like become this thing where I'm like, this can't just be coincidence now. But I think it's because often ginger kids are forced into a corner where they have to fight or flight, and they either become the joker of the class and become really funny to try and kind of like defend themselves from this constant like ginger jokes. And that teaches them a sense of wit and quick timing. And
Mhm.
I find that a lot with with our ginger models.
Interesting, yeah.
Or they often regress completely and disappear and just hide. And that's kind of
Yeah.
what I
Okay.
do, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, Thomas, that I'm just reflecting on because, Stephanie and I have been doing How to Be a Redhead for 14 years and you're 12 years. And I just feel like we're in the same boat of wanting to just spread positivity for the redhead community. And I do think
Mhm.
that what you have done is I just don't I can't even put into words the empowerment that you have given all redhead men. Like I know you said that, a lot of the men in Club Red Hot are gay, but I don't even think that matters because my husband like knows about all your work, and he loves that redhead men, no matter what, are celebrated. And I just think that you put so much good into this world, I really do. Like I see it. I see it. We talk to a lot of redheads obviously, and I just think it's brilliant what you're doing. We
Yeah.
just love it and we
Remarkable.
want to
Yeah.
collab definitely.
Yes, I think the collab is kind of I think this is the
Like
universe bringing
necessary.
us
Like
together after all
yeah.
these years.
100%. There's got to be some product or something that we can do together.
Yeah.
I know. I
And
know.
do you find with your brand that you're mostly targeting women?
Mostly, yeah. We rebranded last year and
After Shark Tank, we rebranded to include men.
to
Okay.
just be gender neutral, just redheads across the board. But what we're finding, yeah, most of our customers are redhead females.
What's interesting is before we came out with our shampoo, we were like 99% women and you can see all the stats and now we're like 74% women.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
And so I find that interesting. We only have one shampoo and we're building out our whole hair care line, but I'm like, "Oh wow, I know men want to just because it's an easy shampoo. My husband loves it because you just like we use it and it doesn't color deposit. So they feel like, okay, there's something masculine about it. It's not dye. So yeah. I think it's changing. I think as people, like you said, in your models, like they want to make it more vibrant, which I think is so awesome.
Yeah, totally. I think that I think you're spot on. You don't want to close off 50% of your potential target market because obviously redheads are a niche anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But there are so many, myself included, redhead men who want to retain now that quality about them
I
rather
know.
than
Yeah.
remove it. So I think that's a really smart pivot for you guys to do that for sure.
Feel like I don't know why I'm thinking about him right now, Stephanie, but our the last podcast guest, you might know him, Thomas, because the world is so small. But Mike Del Moro,
Oh yeah, I know Mike Del Moro.
he was on our podcast. He's the most handsome.
But yeah,
I
he's
was
Oh
like,
my gosh. Wait, I
I
think
know he's gay, but I was hitting on him.
think he is. They got a surrogate, Adrian.
I know I've been watching their story, but I'm like,
Oh,
he needs
okay.
to be on a calendar. Like he's
oh,
so
well. Mike Del Moro was in the first ever.
was he?
Yeah,
Was he? My gosh,
I'm
I
not
missed
surprised.
that.
I'm not
I'm
surprised.
not surprised.
His hair, I mean, we were like giving, I mean,
he's
his
gorgeous.
beauty. Yeah,
He's such a gorgeous guy. No, and I've been trying to get him involved in a project. Mike,
That's so funny you said that. I was like,
if
he
you're
needs to be in a
listening.
calendar. I'll buy it.
oh no, I love Mike Del Moro. No, I think you could name any hot ginger man in the world, and I will know them.
I think so. I think
You
so.
know who I think is really attractive is Phineas. Billy.
100%. He is. I would
And
love.
yeah.
Phineas is another great example. There's some really cool people. Like, I mean, do you know of Luther Ford from? He's this actor from the UK who was in The Crown. He played Prince Harry in The Crown. And
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
he's in some cool shows in the UK at the moment. Well, on Netflix, but he's a big hot, new talent to watch. There's some really
I'm sure people do this to us all the time. They're like, they just start naming redheads like we know them all.
That's,
yeah,
yeah, that's what I'm trying.
But you know who would be great? I was thinking in terms of just being handsome and funny is Jesse Tyler Ferguson
yes, I love
from
Jesse.
Modern Family.
My gosh. Yes.
I think I don't know, but I think he enhances his hair because it's so vibrant. I mean, if he doesn't, like, I want to know his routine, but like he has perfect red hair.
Adrian saw him at the airport.
Yeah.
So I text with him. This is a bit starry, but like
You text him?
yeah, but not on the regular. Like every now and again, I got his number because he went on Watch What Happens Live with Conan O'Brien, and Conan
Okay.
O'Brien's a massive fan of Ginger Boys, and he put our book on his show back in the day. And then Jesse went on the show to talk about being ginger and stuff, and he tweeted, "I'm just about to go on, Watch What Happens Live with Conan O'Brien to talk about why I was rudely." Not included in this book and tagged our book, and then I
Oh my
was like,
God.
Love
got his
this.
number through someone, and then we've been texting. I've always wanted to shoot him, and eventually I'm
Yeah.
sure that's going to happen.
It
Again,
has to.
if
I mean,
what
I think he's in LA,
I know
right?
here, like that's got to happen. Got
And
to
not
make.
to stalk him, but I think he was doing a show in London.
Oh, was he?
So he has connection. I feel like, yeah, I just
He's
feel like
always going
he
back.
loves his red hair. I can just tell that
Yeah.
he loves being a redhead.
Yeah. And then, oh my God, who was from Game of Thrones?
Oh,
Oh,
He played Tormund.
yeah. I had
And
a
I
list
think,
that came up on my famous redheads when I was
yeah,
researching.
Christopher, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's Norwegian. But yeah, I think,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I
there's
love
just like,
John Hall Gleason. I think he's amazing.
yeah.
He's so talented actor and such a talented actor, and he plays into his red hair. There's a few people that are becoming, you know, not there aren't many sort of leading man in the respect of like a Tom Cruise level.
mm,
That's still I think to come, but there's definitely lots of. I think the thing is with the red hair and the man thing, it's still a bit of a character. Sort of becomes a bit of a
Yeah.
the baddie or
yeah.
uh I that it's often not seen as the leading heartthrob role still.
Yeah.
Although, remember Riverdale?
Riverdale. Yeah, with Madeline.
Yes.
So that was obviously a show. The main actor in that had to dye his hair ginger.
Yeah, I remember that.
He looked great because he was sort of this, he had very unginger features. Like he had these sort of dark eyebrows and, olive skin and red hair, which actually, I've seen naturally on a few Spanish ginger guys before.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But he looked great with red hair. But that was dyed for the role because that show was all about redheads. But
Right.
there's still not many leading men heartthrob roles yet, but hopefully soon to
I
come.
think that there will be, especially as there's just more inclusivity. And I just feel like even for 15 seasons on Shark Tank, there was never any redheads on it. I can't believe it, right? And then we just like were the first redhead. I'm like, after 15 seasons, I just feel like
Wait,
it's
what? As in
becoming more and more.
there were contestants for redheads?
I don't think that there were many, but obviously we were the first like redhead beauty brand to be on it. But I think that even that to me is like is
Crazy.
crazy to me that they even waited 15 seasons.
Back in the day when I first started, there was no ginger guys on models books. They just wasn't bankable. Now I feel
Hmm.
like
Wow.
being a redhead male, it's seen as an alternative, credible option for
Okay.
to
So it's changed.
a ginger guy in a lineup of men. So like there was this big Vodafone campaign a couple of years ago in the UK, or you rolled out all over Europe, and it was these three lads, friends, and one of them was ginger. And I remember I think that would have passed a lot of people by, but to me, I was like, whoa, this is really big that they actively chose a ginger guy to represent one of three men who are friends. Those all of those, the way they rolled out the campaign, it was very much like these guys were aspirational. They were like your everyday guy that lots of people would feel a kinship to.
Hmm.
And I was like, wow, I can't believe that they chose a ginger guy. That's so interesting because it would have been seen as it has been for so long, it's been seen as an unbankable, too much of an odd curveball. It's not aspirational
Oh.
for men, the general male
So it's
population
changing. Yeah.
go, oh yeah, he's a cool guy that that I can imagine. So like, so
Yes.
that's really cool that that's sort of shifted. And I think, again, you're seeing more and more in Hollywood. You have got a lot more positive role models coming through. So I think it's any day now you're going to get that ginger James Bond or that ginger
I think
heartthrob,
so too.
a really big,
Yes.
a new actor in Hollywood, like a Timothy Chalamet, who is ginger.
Who's yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I completely agree. Do you know Calum Harper?
Who's Caleb?
I feel like
I knew I
he
was
just
thinking
walked
of
for
him.
Vogue. I think he just walked
Yes.
for Vogue. He's like really, really big right now in the model world, and he's a
Yeah.
tall.
I know
and
exact
he loves his
I'm
ginger hair.
sorry, yeah, Callum Harper. Yeah.
Yeah, what did I say?
You said Caleb. Sorry, I was like,
I'm sure I did.
I shot him for Red Hot like a couple of years ago. He's like such a lovely guy. Like we're good friends. Like he's amazing. He's on the board of the model agency who first gave me Redhead. So his
Really? Okay.
interested in the redhead male model, and his name's Patrick. And Patrick was the first person who gave me a few ginger guys to shoot for the very first exhibition. So like,
Wow.
Patrick obviously saw what Callum could do, and he represents him. But Callum is just smashing it on the socials. Like
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
good on his TikTok, on his
so
Instagram,
good.
So
and
yeah.
sort of takes you behind the scenes, and he's really funny with his kind of quirky personality, and it's become his thing. He plays up the model industry as well. He's such a
Yeah,
great guy. He's amazing.
I know. He seems like
Dream.
that.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
Thomas, you're amazing,
You really
and just
are. I
everything
can't
you've
believe
done.
all these we're finally like quote unquote meeting you. I know not in person, but it was a
No,
long time coming. I think we've been
crazy.
following you for years and years and
And
years.
admiring all your
Same.
work. So thank you.
Same. And, I'm just so impressed with what you guys have done with your brand and going on Shark Tank and smashing it and just, being these absolute bosses is amazing.
Thank you.
Same
Thank
to
you so
you.
much.
I mean, crushing it.
Yeah.
Literally. Again,
we
love
need the
following.
calendar and we want to come to the club. That's,
Yeah.
that's what I've learned.
Have to. I'm going to get your
Yes.
address
Yes.
after this, and I'll send you our new calendar. I'll get you on our goodie bag list. For sure.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, thank you
you
so much for coming on.
Thomas. And thank you for just being incredible and spreading positivity, empowerment,
Confidence.
confidence, everything.
Oh, you're so welcome. And thank you so much for having me.